Hey, what's up, guys? Here on the Fire Sports Pod, where everything we got is hot. I'm your host, Zach Jackson. Here on another episode on the Fire Sports Pod, we are powered by StreamYard, where StreamYard makes the dream yard go. We got our special guest, Billy the Bat Boy, my man from Montclair State University, just graduated. What was it, last year?
Last year.
Yeah, last year. Damn.
Oh, yeah.
Already a
Crazy.
year.
Time's
Yeah.
flying, man. Time's flying.
I appreciate you coming on, Billy. Thanks again. Taking
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me, Zach. It's great to be back here. I feel like it's been a little while since we last chatted on here, but
yes, sir.
I'm a friend of the show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As I am to yours. So if you want to just give the audience a little bit backstory on what you do and like where you're at, where with your podcast and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah. I'm from Little Falls, New Jersey, a small town here in North Jersey, pretty close to New York City, and grew up just loving the game of baseball, played it for a long time, and then became a bat boy for a minor league baseball team, and ultimately realized that I wanted to work in baseball. I had to find a way to stay in the game, aside from being a bat boy for the rest of my life. So I decided to start interviewing players and talking to coaches, players, fans, and really just building up the content, building up my skill sets in the sports media industry. Ultimately going to Montclair State, where I met you, and just trying to continue to enjoy my career, the early stages of my career. So it's been a great journey so far. I've been able to publish a couple books to try to help out young athletes, and that's really what I'm trying to do, is just provide some inspiration for younger players, share stories. And right now I'm also working with Perfect Game. They're a youth baseball organization. So we've been going to different events, and they've been having me out there to create some content, interview players, interview the kids who are out there, and just try to grow their platform and just really just have a lot of great chats and conversations, just sharing the stories of these young kids. So it's been a great journey so far, man, and I'm blessed to be doing what I'm doing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. That's awesome. Especially with the youth sports. That's awesome. Some baseball. We got Billy here. Man's the best when it comes to baseball. We're gonna be going over the Juan Soto move to the Mets. Obviously, we know he went from the Yankees to the Mets. Did we think that was good for the MLB? I'm gonna just start with that broad question. Do we think that was the right move for the MLB? Obviously, we see what's happening with the NBA, with the NFL. With some blockbuster moves like Luka goes to the Lakers. I mean, that was like the biggest news ever, and like the craziest NBA trade ever. And now we've seen a $700, almost $800 million contract given to Juan Soto to go to the Mets. Do you think it's a good move, or do you think it's kind of like messing up the league? If I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I never really looked at it from that perspective, if it's good for the game. And
Yeah.
I just think about if it's good for the Yankees or good for the Mets. And I feel like the Mets, obviously, they picked up a fantastic player. I do think he was paid way more than he's worth. I think he's a great player, but I don't know if he's worth that. I think the Yankees did the best they possibly could with their offseason, given the fact that they couldn't re-sign him. They really kind of evened out their roster with other additions. But as far as the league in general, man, I think it's really interesting. I think it'll be fun. I think it's fun for the league because we're going to have another storyline here, and we're going to see how he does having signed with the club across town and see if it was worth it. See if him chasing that bag and him going to an organization was worth it or not. See if he could bring that championship to the Mets that he was trying to bring to the Yankees. And it'll be fun to watch that play out. So I think, if is it good for MLB? I think it's, I say why not? It should be an interesting thing. Obviously, if he stayed with the Yankees, who knows what else they could have done to address certain needs on their roster. But I think overall it'd be good. I think it'd be fun to watch. And I'm a Yankee fan, but it is what it is. He made his decision and he went over there, and maybe their team's going to be a bit stronger now. And maybe the Yankees and Mets will face off in the World Series. You never know. I think if he leads them to a World Series and the Yankees are in the World Series, I think it's well worth it for MLB standpoint. I mean, that'd be pretty sick.
Yeah, no, that would be great. If that is the case, if it ends up being a Subway Series in the World Series, that would be awesome. Because the last time that happened was 2000. I wasn't even born.
Yeah, we came pretty close, but we didn't quite get there.
We fumbled the bag badly. There was a lot of different ways that we fumbled that bag. That's another discussion for another day.
Oh, yeah.
But I would have to agree with you to the standpoint of just like, I think it is fun for the league. I just think that like there's a lot of movement. And there's a lot of money. Like Shohei Ohtani. I'm cool with giving him that. I know we were disagreeing a little bit the last time we had a podcast when Shohei got that big money. But now, if you look at it, he has panned out to the person that we thought he was when he was with the Angels. Obviously, with the Angels, they're a crappy franchise, and they haven't done some really good things of late. I mean, Mike Trout is the best thing that they've had, and they haven't really gone anywhere even with him, as him being one of the best players to play this game. So I think our question marks were like, is he good enough to play in that level like the Dodgers? And he definitely is. Now, he hasn't even pitched yet, really. So that I can see people giving somebody like him that type of contract. I just think Soto has a lot of question marks outside. Even David Kaplan said it when we had him on, my professor from Montclair. He said that like there's a lot of deficiencies that Juan Soto has that the Yankees, you didn't really see that much. But there's certain things that he's great. I mean, when he's got the bat in his hands, I mean, he's definitely on base pretty much 99% of the time. But in the field, there's like some question marks that he's had and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't think the contract was worth the player. He's great. I think like 500, maybe 600 tops. But you get to the 750 now, almost 800. I mean, why not just give him $1 billion then?
Yeah.
You're right there. And I asked McCarthy this on Monday. Will we ever see $1 billion contract in just sports? But like the MLB probably would be the closest one because we're already at 750.
We'll see it. We'll see it eventually. I don't know who it'll be. The player might not be anywhere near professional sports yet, but I think one day we're going to see. He might not even be born yet, but who knows?
Yeah, maybe not. But yeah, no, because it's just weird because it's like we're at already 750 and it could get up to 800, maybe a little bit more than 800, depending on incentives and stuff like that he does in the playoffs and whatever. But it's crazy to even think that there could be $1 billion contract.
It's wild. It's really wild to think about when you really put it in perspective. And
$1 billion.
Is any player that worth that much? I don't know. But
I don't really think there is any. I mean, unless you go to like other sports, but there's really not that many players.
Well, the reason why he got that much money too is because he's so young. And you could have a player of the same caliber, but be 3, 4, 5 years older, and he would not get anywhere near that kind of deal. So that was the main thing, because it's kind of unprecedented for a player to have Soto's type of career so far and be so young and be a free agent at that young of an age. And that's really, I think, what really pushed the Yankees and the Mets and a couple other teams to really push the envelope with how much they were willing to pay for him.
No, definitely. I think that that has something to come about with that. I also think that if we're talking the logistics of the Yankees, I think if it really was a difference of $5 million to keep him, I think they did the right thing. As this transitions into our second segment, we going over like what did this move. Was this move necessary to make if you're the Yankees manager, if you're the Yankees organization? You bring in one guy who basically, if you don't have him, you're not in the World Series and you might be out in the second round, depending on like logistics and whatever. But he was a big part of why we were there. Or do we take what we got? And I think the assets that we retained, as the Yankees retained, was much better than getting that one guy. Now, do you think the same way? I mean, we've gotten pitchers, we've gotten hitters, we've gotten big-time guys, obviously some veterans that maybe are up in the air, like Max Fried and a couple other guys. But what do you think? Do you think you go after that one dude, or do you scale back and get multiple guys?
Yeah, I'm really happy with how things panned out, honestly, this offseason. I'm not just saying that as a Yankee fan who is just upset that Soto left, and I'm like, yeah, we're fine. We're fine without him. We're good with what we got now. I honestly think that the players who we added on are really going to play key roles. We solved the closer position that was a challenge through most of last year.
Yeah.
We solved another starting pitcher issue. Obviously, there's going to be injuries. There's going to be holes that need to be filled throughout the year. But going into the year, they're in a pretty good spot. And even though there are a few injuries already, the Yankees were without Garrett Cole for a lot last year, a lot of the beginning half of the year, and they did just fine without him. So, there's a lot of depth. Will Warren's another guy, and Stroman's going to come in there, and they have depth. But yeah, Max Fried and these other pitchers who they were able to add, they're going to play a huge role. And then offensively, I think Bellinger's is way better of a fielder than Soto. Maybe not the bat. Maybe the bat's not as close to Soto, but then you have guys like Dominguez who hopefully offensively will pick up some of that slack. And Paul Goldschmidt, I really feel like is going to be a really key
veteran
figure.
guy. Yeah,
I think we're going to get MVP Goldie
I
back
hope
this
so.
year.
I hope so.
I think he found something, and I feel like he's still got some left in the tank. He was only MVP not like 10 years ago. He was MVP only a couple years ago.
Yeah,
So
I
he's
think it was
got
3 years ago. I believe
yeah.
2021. Yeah, I'm not
So he's
mistaken.
got it still, and I feel like he'll be on the field more than Rizzo was. So we definitely upgraded these certain positions. So overall, I feel like this team's in a much more stable condition, more of a stable spot, and hopefully these guys will be durable on the offensive side at least.
Yeah, I think that's really the only question mark that I have. Are they going to be durable? Because Rizzo, I like Rizzo. I love him. He's awesome. But he was never really on the field this last year. He's
Yeah.
always injured. He's back and forth in the lineup on the IR, this, that, and the other thing. So I think Gold is going to be good. I like that pickup. Cody Bellinger, I think we can get, I don't know about MVP type of man, World Series, hitting dingers left and right, but I think we can get like 80% of that guy back.
Yeah, you never know, man. I mean,
I would hope so.
he's shown some really, really
He's a
bright
lefty, right? Too?
spots. Yes, and he showed some times where maybe not as great offensively, but then he's shown times where he's an MVP caliber guy.
Yeah.
So it's really a matter of who are we going to get? Are we going to get the guy who could absolutely crush it at the plate, or are we going to get a guy who is striking out a little bit too much and struggling at the plate? I think we're going to get a guy who is on the better side. I really feel like that. And we'll see if it turns out that way. But yeah, like every season, you're going to be looking for some surprises from a few players, and hopefully he's one of them.
Yeah, me too. I really do. I think Cody Bellinger does have an opportunity to really show him his worth now with a different team in the Yankees. Obviously, he was at the Dodgers. He was great, but then went to the Cubs. It wasn't so good. Now he's with the Yankees in the pinstripes. Did you hear about the story about I think it was the Cody Bellinger's wife or girlfriend now is the ex-girlfriend of Giancarlo Stanton.
I did hear that. I guess
Yeah.
it's true. I don't really know much about it, but
It's a
pretty
little
funny.
weird. That's pretty crazy. So I guess they kind of mended their ways and everything's good to go. But
I
that
guess.
three-headed monster is going to be nuts. But the problem is, again, like you said earlier, the injuries. I don't understand. I really don't. Like what are? I get it. It's sports. They're the highs. Like everyone gets injuries. We just had Kyrie Irving tear his ACL on a freak play though. Like on a freak accident, his knee buckles in. Like, but like what is Stanton doing? Like I don't understand how every year he is hurt. Like last year, he was freaking fantastic in the playoffs. He was like the guy. It was him, and then I would say it's Stanton. I would have picked Stanton over Soto in the whole playoffs, grand scheme of things. He was MVP of the entire playoff. He was playing amazing. But again, now you got what, tendonitis in both your elbows? Like, how is that even possible?
Look, we're used to this with him, and it's unfortunate that these things continue to happen. But just the fact that both elbows are the problem, it's like, bro, how?
Like, what are you doing in the off season?
God knows what happened, and
like,
I don't even want to know.
Yeah, exactly. And then DJ LeMahieu, obviously, we know how great of a player he is when he's healthy. Last year, he was like very unhealthy and very weird because he went from 2 years ago really having a great year, even though Judge was out for a while. And that really was the one that detoured our season.
Right.
But last year, he was hurt like almost all the time and really couldn't get in the motion of and had really any impact on our playoff run. He really wasn't barely in there because of injuries. Do you think DJ is kind of on his last laugh? Like, obviously, we know Gold's got him left in the tank, but I think DJ's like on like the last year, maybe.
I would say DJ's towards the end. I think he's got another year after this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't even know if he gets to that point. Honestly, I don't know if he wants to deal with it. I really don't know. I'm not in there with him and talking to him about it. But you know how frustrating it can get to be injured this much and just deal with these kinds of things, even when you're not used to it. Like he had a couple years where he's dealt with these injuries, but prior to that with the Rockies and his first couple years with the Yankees, he didn't deal with this kind of stuff. So it's kind of something he's had to really deal with, and it's hard over the past few years. So I
Yeah,
don't know
I
how
could
much he's got left in the tank and how much he really wants to go through.
Yeah, I could imagine. I could imagine. Now,
Yeah.
um, I think for the MLB itself. Now, this is to our last segment. Um, what are your thoughts? And I'll give you my thoughts before. But we're gonna just go over like what are like the thoughts with technology now. Obviously, now this entire world is all about technology. I mean, we're on technology now, like this type of thing. 10 years ago, probably we would be in person doing this, not on a computer. So, like the thoughts of just technology being in the MLB or just in sports in general, Billy, and then I'll give my thoughts after yours. But what are your thoughts on that? You think does this help improve the game? Because obviously we know baseball is not really the crazy sport. We both love baseball. I played it. You've played it in college as well. I've only played it through middle school, but still love of the games. Can still play it now. Would love to still play it, but not a lot of people have that insight or that want to play the game. Do you think that
Yeah.
this is a problem, or do you think that this is going to help increase viewership and engagement to baseball with it being faster, more technology based? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's always a balance that you need to have, especially with the old school type of baseball, with just letting things play out the way they should. And you don't want to include technology too much where it's completely taken over the game. But at the same time, you want to make things efficient. You want to make sure things are flowing very smoothly. And that's what the pitch clock has done. And I think it's great. It was getting too slow, too dragged out. But the one thing I really like to see here is the challenge system for the balls and strike system. And I
Yeah,
think it's really interesting. I think it's fun. I think it gets the fans into it. And it's something that's very unique. So, that's kind of pushing the buttons of is it too much or not? I feel like I've heard some mixed reactions to that because, oh, I want to keep the umpires completely in the game, completely calling strikes. But at the same time, you're getting the call right then. If you challenge a call, it takes a few seconds, a ball and strike call, I'm saying, it takes a few seconds, you're going to get the call right, and it gets the fans involved in the game. So that's the part I love about it. It really does engage the fan, and that's what you want to do is create a good fan experience. And plus, you can play a little game with yourself. Oh, I bet that was a ball. I bet that was a strike, and then you get to see it on the video board or see it on your screen if you're watching at home.
that
It's
is
kind of
true.
fun. It's kind of
That
fun.
is true. Okay, cool. So I like that. I like that. So for me, I'm an old school and I'm only 20 years old. So the fact that I'm saying I'm old school, I mean, I carry cash. Not a lot of people carry cash anymore. I don't like really using credit cards. I like using cash. I like doing face-to-face interactions and talking instead of on the phone or on FaceTime. I rather do that stuff because I'd rather see a face. For me, I'm on half.
Yeah,
I like what you're saying and I agree with what they're doing, but at the same time, I like the old-fashioned baseball, man.
yeah,
And old-fashioned baseball is going to be cool because soon we're going to have this not just in the MLB. We're going to have this in college, which I think we already have some parts of this of
right,
the technology-wise in college. And then when it's going to go down, it's going to go to high school, maybe not middle school, but it'll probably go in high school because again, where people are getting a lot more competitive. They're bigger, stronger, faster. Kids are getting just massive and like just really caring about the game itself. And this is just for all sports
right,
and anything. Like if we're gonna talk about like the pitch and strike count, I think the way that NBA does the challenges, and way they only have two challenges. If you go for the first one, you lose it, you're done for the game. And you get an instant review. I think they should do that for college. College takes too long. I mean, I was watching a Kentucky basketball game, and they had like 6 different times they stopped the game in the second half to look at a call that
yeah,
literally you can see when you're watching the TV. There was no need to take 15 minutes of a time you're on the video monitor to look at something. So that's in that sense, I agree with you. It's just faster, more time wasted. But I
yeah.
don't know. I like the old fashioned type of thing.
Yeah, I completely get it. I completely get it, and I understand that, and I'm completely fine with watching a game like that back from 10 years ago when there wasn't that technology,
Yeah,
and it was just fun to watch as a normal game. But I feel like as the world evolves,
yeah,
as this country evolves, everything, I feel like they are gonna want to try to incorporate everything modern into sports, and
yeah,
in this case, it's technology. In this case, it's software that'll help make the game more efficient. and we're gonna have to deal with it, whether we like it or not. And
Yeah, no,
that's
definitely.
gonna it's just inevitable. It's gonna
Yeah.
happen. So we'll see if it actually happens, that ball strike system in a regular season game in the next year or so. But
Oh,
for
so they're
spring
not
training,
putting it in directly. This is just trial and
this is
error in
just
the
for
spring training?
trial for spring training. But they've
Okay.
been working on the system for a while.
Okay. All right. I thought it was going to be implemented this year. Okay. So they're going to take a little bit more time.
Right.
Okay. All right. Cool. I think, like I said, I agree with you. I just like I wish we both agreed the old fashioned thing. I mean, I think I'm crazy. I don't know. You call me crazy. But I'll watch if there was ever a triple header of like
Yeah.
9 innings straight of games, like I'll watch 3 straight games and not move from the couch and just watch
Crazy. You
because
might
I
be a little
love.
crazy.
Yeah, okay, so then maybe I am a little crazy. This guy, I got to get it from the guy that played baseball in college. So I got to get it from him. And if I'm crazy, then maybe I am a little crazy. But no, I think the last thing I'll say is that about youth sports. Now, I just want to get your opinion on youth sports. Do you think it's going in the right direction, or do you think it's still on like that cuffs? Because again, there's still that statistic out there that kids of at the age of 13, 70% of the time they quit their sports and
Yeah.
just all sports in general. How do you think that's working out right now? Do you think we're going to see a change, or you think it's just going to keep going that direction?
Well, I've really been trying to study this the past few years, as you know, and
Yeah.
I feel like there are more knowledgeable parents and players who are aware that too much of this emphasis on play every single day, all the time, nonstop is not good, and pressure like that building up is not good, and ultimately it'll lead to burnout. So
Yeah.
I do feel like there are people who are becoming more aware and more knowledgeable about these topics, and I'm hoping that ultimately over the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years, we'll see a much better statistic, a much better number of kids who are continuing to play because they love it, because they enjoy it, and ultimately you'll create better players. You will produce better quality athletes by having them go out there and have fun with it than you would if you're pressing them all day on if they went to the cage or if they took a few foul shots or whatever. That's not gonna. It helps so much if the kid himself truly wants to go out there and he'll do it on his own, because that shows you that he wants it or she wants it bad enough that she'll or he'll do it on their own. And
Exactly.
hopefully it gets to that point where they go out there because they love it, because they enjoy it, and that'll push them more. That'll tell themselves, hey, I want this, I'm gonna go for it, and I'm not gonna do it because anyone else told me to do it. I'm going to do it because this is what I want to do, and this is a sport that I love to play. And I feel like we are going to move more in that direction. I do think we've taken steps in the right direction. Hopefully, once in a while you see videos that make you think otherwise. That
Yeah.
maybe this parent, this coach, whoever, this interaction with the umpire, we're really not pushing forward here. But unfortunately, there's always going to be moments like that where you
Yeah.
see some stupid people.
Humans are not perfect. We're not perfect. Nobody's
Exactly.
perfect. So,
Exactly.
no, I definitely agree with you. I have obviously, I coach basketball at the middle school level as well as the high school level. So I see these things all the time, and I look at kids, and it feels like a lot of the kids that I coach or I see coaching, some of them, I mean, I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying maybe about 50. I'll go 50.
Yeah.
You can really tell, like, they're not there for them. They're there for their father, or they're there for their mother, or they're there for their parents or their sister,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. And I think that really takes away from the game, because of the fact of the matter is why the hell, like you said, are you playing then? There's no, and LeBron James has said it himself. If you're not playing the game that you love, and you're not loving what you do, and you're not loving the craft, and you're not loving the practice, and you're not loving the games, and you're not loving to be out there training, then
Yeah.
play something else or do something else.
Right.
And
Right.
I think that's something that parents, coaches, podcasters, person that wants to influence young kids with a book, music, different stuff like that, definitely should be on that same boat of saying, if you don't want to do it, then just don't do it.
Yeah.
You should be just honest. Don't try to lie to people and lie to yourself that you want to do this, but really you don't. Like, if you don't want to go out there and practice in rain, snow, whatever, just to be the fun of it, just to know that you're getting better, and not a lot of people out there are doing that, then you shouldn't be playing that sport. You should just not be playing sports in general, because then it's just not good for you, because you're just stressing yourself out for no reason. So I preach the same thing you're preaching.
That's great.
A lot of people
all true.
Which it is true. And it's sad, because I like I said, I quit baseball, and I wish I didn't quit baseball, but it was because of the fact that I felt too pressured into doing something all the time, like a job, instead of having fun. And if I would have stayed, I would have been really pretty good. And not to brag, but I would have been pretty good at baseball.
I'm sure you would have. I'm sure you would.
I wish I would have stayed with it. And I punched myself today, because if I had the mindset that I have today, or even if I had a couple years ago, I would have never quit. It was the fact of the matter is that you just didn't want it to be like a job. I just wanted to have fun. And to be the best, you got to be pushed like that. But you got to know, if you're a parent or you're a coach, you got to know when to push it and when to like back off.
Sure.
So that like they can understand, like, there are certain things you got to do to get where you got to be, and you got to be in that mindset. But it can't be all the time, because then you're just going to lose kids now. And that kids nowadays are not as into it. You got to ease into it. They're very, some of them are very like too not soft. Another word. It's not soft. They're more
it's
sensitive. There we go.
Yeah.
A little too sensitive nowadays, instead of back when we were growing up, it was less sensitive, really less sensitive. I could definitely say that. But that would be pretty much it. I mean, unless you got anything else to say about youth sports, I just think we're in the right direction. We just got to keep pushing forward with the stuff that we're saying.
These are life lessons too. So
it's
all part of it. It's all good for life.
Exactly. No, definitely. I appreciate it, Billy. Thanks again. I know you got to go, so I appreciate you jumping on the podcast again.
For sure.
Billy the Bat Boy. I'm your host, Zach Jackson. We're powered by StreamYard, where StreamYard makes the dream yard go. This was season 7, episode 6. We'll see you guys on Friday for season 7, episode number 7. Our co-host Irv will be back on the show. Then I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.